It's 2026 and literally nobody cares about your social proof testimonials or what your credibility actually is. It's not why people buy. People buy specifically based on the outcomes you can create. So in 2026, posting Stripe screenshots, reposting the same testimonials over and over and over again, and talking more and more about your credibility just doesn't exactly get clients across the line. What does get clients across the line is showing that you are competent in solving their problem. So we're going to walk through the strategy that we use when we launch new agencies or when we work with new agency owners to actually close sales right out the gate. So let's talk about this. There are agencies that close 80 clients a month simply from Instagram alone, from content, from these types of avenues. There's no spend on paid ads to acquire those clients. They're simply coming from content alone. And the reason for that is they're not really proving themselves, but instead they're walking through exactly how the outcome gets delivered. And they're using what's called deliverable stacking, which is where you use a productized service framework and an Instagram story engine that books calls from cold audiences. And so if you don't have a lot of money that you want to put towards ads yet, because you're not really making any money, this is the play you need to be running every single fucking day. So let's walk through it. This is our hidden method to sign 50 clients per month. We use this across so many agencies right now. I'm going to walk through this. So social proof is a losing game because this is just where we're at in 2026. It used to work, but what's happened is there's so much credibility that everybody has at this point because internet marketers are like a dime a dozen and people just don't care. So they look at the screenshots of the win, but it's not exactly converting anymore. So the thing is, there's so many screenshots. You go on Twitter, you see thousands of testimonials. It just you can't get fired up for it anymore. It's too much noise. So what business owners and customers are looking at now is signals, like who knows how to solve this problem. And so every agency owner is posting the same content and they're kind of just running through the same old. And what this means for you is your prospect can't tell the difference between you and everybody else because it's just common noise. And so what we want to do is we want to build a new trust building tool, something that actually confirms that you know what you're doing. So we're going to walk through this right now. Our goal is to demonstrate high-level competence in a particular set of problems or what we call constraints. So constraints are always in three categories. They're always in traffic, conversion, and fulfillment. So if you're an agency, typically you're working within one of those three to help a business solve one of those three. A business doesn't have traffic, you're a marketing agency. A business doesn't have conversion, you're a sales agency. And if a business doesn't have fulfillment, you're a systems agency. It's just that simple. So when somebody is watching you break down their problem, they're knowing, okay, I can see how this person can walk through my problem too. And so you're moving from believe me, trust me, please, work with me to, hey, let me show you how we solve this. The deliverable stacking framework is what actually lays this in front of a customer so that they can understand how working with you will solve their problem. Let's walk through it. We will do what's called a productized service stack. And so instead of selling like one vague service, like, hey, we do Instagram growth or we run ads, we're going to break down the service into every individual deliverable that a client receives. And what that looks like is instead of us posting, hey, it's, this outcome and it costs $200, you're going to go through the outcome, but also give what is actually occurring on the back end. It's like walking through dinner and going, it's a hand-selected A5 Wagyu, it's dry aged, we're pairing it with this, we're serving it with this, it's got these sides, and you're walking through visually to a vivid detail exactly what the client is receiving and why it matters. So the difference in perceived value is drastically different. They go, oh, okay, that seems like a lot. Like that seems like it's going to definitely solve my problem. Now, again, with productized service, you're not exactly trying to stack a variety of services. You're stacking the right deliverables that deliver the outcome the client is directly seeking. This is why when you do your sales call, diagnosis is super important. You want to know, is this the problem that they're trying to solve? And if so, let me break down step by step, piece by piece, what we're going to do. Then this allows you to sell for a higher ticket price. You're not changing your service, you're unpacking it here, okay? And so the stack in action is going to kind of unfold what exactly the client is getting. So let's walk through this really quick. Layer one, if we were to sell like Instagram automation, for example, is we're going to talk about how we're going to target their customers. We're going to talk about the competitor analysis that we're going to do. We're going to scrape the audiences of these pages and these pages. And then we're going to map out the calendar of content that we're going to be walking your company through creating. Layer two is we're going to create a content engine. We're going to be walking through the creation of that content, creating the scripts. My team will handle the strategy. We'll also do the research of what audio we need to add and what we need to do to stay relevant within your niche. Then if we need to add thumbnails and hooks, we'll provide those as well as a framework for your team to implement. At the third level, we're going to be talking about the engagement infrastructure. What DMs are we sending out? How are we personalizing them? What's the story engagement going in? The comment strategy. Already the client is seeing, okay, there's a lot here. I see how involved you're going to be. I can visually kind of understand what this looks like day to day, week to week. And that last final point, we're going to talk about how you know the accountability is occurring. This is the KPI tracking, some type of analytics or something that you're giving as an audit. So the comparison is you're going from a blanket statement of like, we grow your Instagram, to stacking every detail of what's going to occur. This is a very powerful thing, because if a client does hand you money on the "we grow your Instagram" phrase, there can be a huge amount of anxiety because now they don't know what's next. But if I walk through, okay, we need to do content strategy. I know, okay, there's going to be discovery here. We're going to be having a conversation. It's more fluid. And so that trust is getting created. And so that's how you create the proof. The social proof is not, hey, I've done this before. It's more in, hey, this is what we're going to do together. This is how we're creating this outcome. And it looks more professional, right? The same way if you have damage in your house and you need a high-level contractor to walk through it with you, they're going to point and ask you questions and kind of go, okay, when did you buy the house? Are you familiar with what the studs are or where they are or what they're made out of? Right, they're going to kind of ask you those types of questions to evaluate the work. So you were probably already doing most of this, but you're just not showing it to your client and you're not giving it to them early enough for them to be super confident in what you're about to create for them. So productized services are a packaged stack. So imagine productized services as presents under a Christmas tree. You're taking each individual thing, creating as many presents as possible. That way, when you walk up to the tree, you're like, holy shit, there's so much here, right? That means if there's a bike underneath the tree, you're also going to be packaging the whistle. You're going to be packaging the lights for it. You're going to put the helmet in its own box. You might put, some bike gloves in its own box. And this creates an enormous amount of perceived value. Those are productized services. Now, agencies have been selling custom proposals for a very long time. They originated in like the 1950s and 1960s, and just fundamentally, like, they work for really old audiences, but don't really convert across the board. Productized services will convert with anybody because everybody can understand perceived value. So that's a nightmare to scale a custom proposal stuff. You want to walk through the productized services route rather than like, these weird, custom proposal type documentations. When you do productized services, it's one offer and one stack and one price, okay? So there's not really like a negotiation or custom scoping, okay? Instead, you are going to fit them into this stack, okay? It's going to go into this stack. If there's additional things that have to take place outside the stack, you will sell it later, like go later into that. Because when you do this from the front, they can't really negotiate or move things around. And then that allows you to have a little bit more control at the front end and upsell them later and increase that LTV. Cool? So your stack is now becoming one of your most powerful sales assets. They understand what the stack is. This is what you get. This is what it costs. This is when we start. So it's all very predetermined in that process. So we use this all the time because it compresses the sales cycle. It seals the deal super fast, right? They can see very clearly, okay, this is what I need, and you don't have to go back and forth with your team trying to create something for this customer so they feel seen, because that's how deals get lost. We want to be able to get on the phone and close them in the same moment. We don't want this to go, 15 different ways or take an enormous amount of time to come back and close, right? Compressing the sales cycle allows us to move forward now. Understanding the product in its entirety allows us to move forward even quicker and get the result they actually want. This is how we close clients, is because we're not dicking around trying to send them a proposal 3 weeks later. We're moving very fast through every single lead. So the productized service engine is powered like this. This isn't if a new agency is starting like fresh out the gate. Like I'm talking like an agency operator has never had a sale. This is how we get them into this productized stack, being able to pitch on the phone. It's a 4-step process. It's called problem, agitate, solution, and booking a call, okay? So what they're gonna do is they're gonna start by addressing the problem. They're gonna post a story going, hey, I see a problem in this industry and this is what's happening. So the first story is always like, da-da-da, here's the problem. Then they post another story. They're gonna agitate the problem. And this means that this happens, and then this happens, and then this happens, okay? Then they post another story where they identify the solution of that particular problem. Okay, so we created this program, this is the solution we made, or this is the PDF that we made that walks through the solution that we found works for this. And if you want me to walk you through this on a call, let's get on a free call together. That's 4 stories that identifies the problem, agitates the problem, identifies the solution, and then gets the person on a booked call. This works night and day, just constantly, right as like a continuous cycle. If an agency does this like 5 times a week and walks through the different, formulations of the same stack with this format, like doing a problem, agitate, solution, 4 or 5 times a week, they will book countless calls, okay? Even with like small audiences of less than 10,000 people. So that is what works. And we use this particular framework time and time again. We post all of the stories when we're doing this particular strategy with an agency owner. We post all the stories before lunchtime to make sure that the content is sticking and getting the most results. The other thing with it is we're very attentive to DMs. We're responding in dynamic ways. We're very quick to get people on calls. We don't do calls like, trying to book a week out in advance. We're even trying to get people on the phone within 15 minutes of saying, yes, I need the solution. So, walking through that, right? Let me go a little bit deeper on the stories and how to do them if this isn't clicking yet, right? You're going to call out the specific problems that your client has. If it's a traffic problem, you're going to go, or do you just not have anybody coming to book calls? Cool, yes. Okay, this is the problem. You're posting reels every single week. The follower count hasn't moved in months. You're not, getting any calls booked because you don't have anybody coming to your page, right? You've hired a social media manager and they're just reposting quotes from Canva templates. It's like, fuck, yeah, that's me. Okay, you're getting views, 0 DMs, 0 inquiries, 0 revenue from your content, okay? Put them in the box, like let them feel the pain, okay? Be specific enough that only your ICP can relate, okay? Like if it's for anybody, then that's not gonna work. But if the particular client that you're trying to work with has this particular problem or story occurring in their business, this is how you wanna outlay it. The other format is that we wanna make it so that way it's just solid text, put the white background text with black text on it, right? Very simple on the image of yourself or something, or do a talking head clip, okay? So if you're ready to go, just boom, film it with yourself, 15 seconds, run it raw and direct, okay? Number 2, the second story you're posting is to agitate, okay? So they understand the problem, now let them feel it, okay? Show them what happens if they don't fix it. So in 6 months, you've spent $15,000 and generated nothing, and competitors figured it out, and they own your audience, okay? That's horrible. Nobody wants that. Social media manager, you're just paying them $3K a month for nothing, just random acts of content with no strategy. Horrendous, okay? Every day you're posting, and there's no audience. They're just scrolling right past you. Another painful indicator. Connect each problem to real consequences that can be quantitated to either money lost, time wasted, or other people winning. Make it tangible. Make them feel it, okay? Again, the format here is white background text. Do not deviate from the color sequence, okay? White background text, like what it looks like right here, with black text or talking head, okay? Let the weight of it sit. Don't make these things too wordy, okay? Number 3, the solution, okay? Right after you make that video, you're going to make another one, okay? This is where the deliverable stacking comes into place. You're going to go into the actual stack, okay? Now, other people right here will say, DM me for info or some shit. You're not going to do that. Instead, actually reveal the method, go through and talk about what you're doing. We're going to build a content architecture, a system where every post has an intention. Some attract, some are nurturing, some are to convert, and they run a sequence designed to move somebody across the line, right? When a customer hears that, they're like, oh, fuck, I get how that looks. That's strategy. That's a system. I need a system because I don't have one. So walking through, what we build is this, and then we add this automation, and then this sequence, and these pre-sell, and this is a content engine. So they're hearing what your stack is, and they can see it visually in their head. This is what I'm getting. This is what it's like to work with this guy. And so then you give them, an inside look. Okay, here's the first, 30 days, boom, audience architecture, week 2, you get the point, okay? The deliverable stack is what shines. You're going to reveal the method, and then you go into the CTA, okay? You're going to then go into getting them to book a call, okay? So these are going to be free calls that they book, meaning you're going to highlight that they're not needing to pay anything on the call. Like, there's not going to be something that occurs after. Lower their guard from the sales call, okay? So what you'll tell them is, yeah, I don't really have anything to sell you. If there is a solution that we can create together that's, paid and you want to do something together on that level, we can explore that together if it's a good fit. But really, I just want to understand your problem and see if there is anything in the first place, right? So that way their guard comes down. You're actually not trying to sell them. You're trying to qualify if you'd be the best fit. And then you go from there, right? So you walk through the free audit and do this together as a free call. Again, lower that guard on the sales call. So, again, these are clear and concise. Make them, as less verby as possible. That way it's just really easy for a customer to understand what's happening. Now, let's walk through the math on why 50 clients is real if you were to really hammer this and take this seriously, okay? If you've got like 2,000 followers and you can at least get 400 views, if you're just getting like a 1% conversion and a 40% booking rate, you're booking at least 20 to 40 calls a month, and you can close at least 20 people a month from stories alone. If you can scale it across all of your other channels, if you've got other, pages and other platforms, you could absolutely hit 80. But really what we're doing is we're trying to shoot for 50. We have done this time and time again. We will use this until the end of time. I'm not joking. This is our system that actually fucking works. You need to be able to convey to a client exactly why working with you is going to be a competent choice for them. The only way they can see it is if they can understand in vivid detail what your product or service does. Social proof is commodity content. You cannot continue to use your credibility to get clients in 2026. It will continue to have diminishing returns. Use deliverable stacking, productize your service, compress the sales cycle. No more custom quotes, custom systems, any of that bullshit. Fit them into your product and book those calls. The way to book the calls, 4-story, project, problem, agitate, solution stories. Book free calls, get their guard down, get them on the call, book them, boom. This is a free call. If we can create some solution together, I'll let you know and we'll move forward. Now, that being said, if you want to book a call with me so we can walk through this exact same deliverable stack and see what we can create in your own business, I will also walk you through and give you an exact demo of how we do this in agencies as well. So I'll literally do the exact same scenario with you so you can visually understand it. And again, I don't have anything to sell you, but if you want to drop a comment below, we can also talk about your own service and I'll respond back to you on how you can productize it. Subscribe if you're new. I'm putting down breakdowns like this every single week. I will see you on the next one.